Before you go and buy more gear thinking that it's what you need to take your content to the next level, we should have a chat. It's not your gear, it's you. It's about to get real uncomfortable. Sorry about that. Give yourself a wedgie, have a seat, and this is gonna suck to hear. All right, this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to ask you to like me before you even watch my content, but you know what? Why not? Give it a like. You haven't even seen what I have to say. I could be a drooling idiot. If you could subscribe too, that'd be great. Okay then, this is going to be a big boy talk. Not gonna pull any punches. I'm gonna be frank and honest about why content fails. Now, before you go and get all mad at me and think I'm being holier than thou or preaching from my extremely short pedestal, please just save your breath. I am as guilty as you. I have failed with my content before, and I will continue to fail with content going forward. I'm not the god of content. Now, we all lose focus, and some of us just have no idea what to develop as content. And that's okay. But growth at any stage requires some humility and the ability to identify and understand your mistakes. Now, there is no true road path to success, but there are some general rules that you have to follow, for the most part. So let's get to this. Not showing growth. No, I don't mean numbers here, but if you do notice your numbers are not growing, it's probably because, well, you aren't. Face it. If you're a fan of a certain type of content and you look back on some of the older stuff, you might find it's a bit different, maybe even a little bit off-putting. You may not even know why, but it might just feel off. Maybe kind of a messier version of what you've become used to. And that's because good content grows. Even your favorite TV show will show that rust on its pilot. So if you're holding on to the old ways of doing things, thinking that's the magic, well, you're probably wrong. Grow. Find better ways of doing things. Find better ways of doing things right. But there is a trick. Not all of your growth is going to pay off. Some of your growth may not be what your fans like, and this is where taking chances comes into play. You don't have to risk your world, but even small things require taking a risk. Maybe it's including comedy in your content, or perhaps trying out a different style. Something, because for each thing you strike out with, you will find something that knocks it out of the park. You're not paying attention to your fans, and you will know what is good and bad by listening to them. Honestly, this is one of the biggest oversights by a lot of creatives, and it generally comes from some sort of ego. If you aren't listening to the people that are hanging on to your content, then they won't hang on long. But I don't mean all the little things like, hey, review this or you should dye your hair. I mean watching what they like, what they gravitate towards. Perhaps one of your videos or podcasts brought in a bunch more interest. Maybe you started something new that's crashing and burning before your eyes. Whatever it is, you need to listen not just to your audience, but what they're trying to tell you by the consumption. Sometimes you just have to swallow your pride. And don't be mistaken, failure is generally closely tied to pride and the unwillingness to listen. Thinking that you are the star. This is one of the hardest things for people to hear because it directly impacts their ego. You get a mediocre amount of success and you think you are the reason for that. No new listener or viewer cares about you. Your content is what brings people in, and it's only a bonus when they decide to stick around and love you. Now, there is an important distinction here. You are in charge of keeping people around with your wit, eclectic personality that just seems to sparkle in the sunshine, all that stuff. But not a single person will click on the link of your content because of you. They're clicking it because they want your content. They want your breakdown of whatever the title was and whatever the thumbnail presented. You aren't going to pull them in. Your content will. Now, this is particularly an issue in the growing days of content, the first year or so. Perhaps you have 50 or 60 loyal followers that love you and know all about your dogs and the life you lead. But the other people coming in don't care for an update on all of it before you get to the meat of your content. One of the worst instances of this was when I was doing personal air checks for podcasts. One in particular was a movie review podcast, but they wanted to put a bit more of themselves in the content, which isn't a horrible idea if you do it right. So they decided to have a separate segment at the beginning of their movie podcast about beer. People that were tuning in to listen to their podcast about a specific movie had to sit through a 6 to 10 minute chat about beer. That is a prime example of how you turn away new fans. Now, if this is something you want to do, that style, play it smart. Put all that stuff at the end or on a separate episode. You can give your current followers something while still serving the needs of the new ones coming through. Stop thinking that you're a star. That sounds worse than I thought it would. The reason they clicked the link to your video or downloaded your podcast is the reason you got them. Why would you insult that act of support by filling time? Get to it. Meander through the verbal diarrhea later on. Script it if you have to and learn how to read that. If it takes more than 20 seconds to get into the meat of your content and the reason the people clicked on it, you've already failed. And your personality sucks. Now, okay, before you take out the pitchforks, hear me out. This plagues a lot of presenters out there, and it's because their personality they are using to present isn't them. People will know when you're fake. It's an inherent trait from years of evolution. If you're trying to emulate some of your favorites, you're going to look incredibly stupid. You have to be yourself. And while that's going to feel really awkward at first, you will grow into your own personality with those favorites of yours becoming influences. Look across YouTube and you'll see a mosaic of personalities, some of which don't do it for you and some that do. But unless you're Dr. Disrespect, they're basically all just being themselves with like 10% added for effect. Now, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, one of my favorite channels is That Chapter. It's a true crime channel. Don't watch it unless you're willing to put up with a lot of true crime. Now, if you go back and watch some of his older videos, they were incredibly cringeworthy. But I'll be damned, Mike stuck to who he is. And he grew his presentation skills. He relied on his awkwardness to truly make his channel a success. Whoever you are, that is the person that people want to see. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, why not check out some of the gear reviews we have, or even the one where I actually rewire an SM58 to sound almost like an SM7B. Sounds like it'd be fun. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next video.